Engineering. This week's little update. I've had Winnett from 3D Precisions come out and he's done some 3D scanning on the van for some future little projectos. So what that means is, he's 3D scanned the A-pillars and the windscreen and also the rear windows for a couple of little things I've got going on. So once they come back I can do some designing in Fusion and then we can actually finally get the front of the van welded back together. Finally, I think it was about 2 years ago, maybe longer, that I actually chopped the whole van apart and the front window areas have not been welded back together since then. I'm just going through at the moment, so all these holes from where I drilled out all the original rivets, just going through plugging them all up. So just going through plug welding all them up, part of one of the projects for the scanning. Requires basically when I weld these inner sections back into the A-pillars, I want to try and keep the heat to an absolute minimum because I don't want things to melt. Little hint. If you can guess what's going on, I don't know if I've ever actually mentioned it before, what is going on with these A-pillars, but if you can have a bit of a guess. So I need to minimise heat. Where the Clecos were, well, I still will have to MIG weld them, but they're very minimal little holes, so they shouldn't put too much heat into it. So there's a few areas like down here, this corner here, and then up here, that's all pretty thin. Can't really just get away with plug welding that. So I have to make a piece up and weld it in there. So yeah, it's just going around the windscreen, fixing all those little bits, getting them tidied up. I've got to do the lead on both corners, front corners. I've decided I'm going to lead them as well. I was just going to leave it how it is, but same as the back. I think I'm just going to redo it how it was. So I've got to get some more lead for that. I should have got some more before I started the rear quarters, to be honest. One side's not the best. I've got to get the windscreen wipers situated. That panel needs a bit of modification so they can go in. Boring plugging holes really. Well, we've been jamming away for a while. Got all these holes plug welded up. That was not the funnest job going around, I can tell you right now, but it's all nice and solid, there's no big holes, so we should be able to just easily spot weld the panels back together when we go to join them. Put a new piece up in there. So most of that TIG welded really good, but up in that corner, I think there might have been a bit of lead there that I didn't quite get out and it just blew a hole and it was a nightmare. Absolute crazy. Now I've also been playing around with the height of the van. So I've now currently got it 4 inches higher than what it was originally, just sitting hard on the frame. And looking at it, I'm thinking that down the bottom there, I was thinking I was going to have to completely remake the whole bottom section with the bead and everything. But I reckon I can sneak away with just welding another strip on the bottom, which will just make the bead higher off the bottom of the van, if that makes sense. I think that's going to be fairly easy. That bottom bit, the rear bumper, I've got heaps more room for the rear bumper now, so I don't think I really need to muck around with that at all. So the bottom there is just a little tiny piece there to extend down. One thing I don't like is how high that step's going to be now. So what I'm thinking is that bottom sort of rail piece there, I'm going to have to cut that and remake that just so it goes down further so the side of the van's got something to actually mount to. And then while I'm at it, I'm thinking of extending that bit there. So extend that down so that I'll only have like the minimal step into the van, because really you don't want a big step getting in. It looks cooler if the step is as close to the ground as possible. So what that will entail though is when I come to do the doors, I've still got to pull them apart, sandblast the inside, epoxy it, and do all that jazz. Yeah, I will be doing electric window conversion. I've got some actuator things and stuff to do that. So there's a fair bit of work to do on the doors anyway, so I think extending them down a touch while I've got them apart just means you'll be, 6.5 feet tall and walk inside the van. Down the front here you can see it has created an even bigger hole there, so that's another issue. I've scooted the chassis further forward, so inside there I've notched that out so I could bring the chassis forward. A couple of reasons. One, so I've got more room for me pedals inside, and just getting the front wheels further forward in the wheel arches in the front ones. So I think where they're sitting now looks a lot better, just further forward. They were right at the back. So it also means like at full height I've got shitloads of clearance with tyres now, so I can actually drive around like lower, which style points also. And then because I've moved the chassis so far forward, the radiator has to move. Now I've also been playing around with the aircon unit, so I've got that in there. I've managed to separate out all the wires for the actuators. I've got them working, so now it's just a matter of, we've got to get some half bridge things for the PMU and then just try and work out how to do CAN bus stuff. So HP Academy do a CAN bus course, so I'm going to look at doing that and see if I can get my head around it. And I can use that for the electric windows and that as well. So I believe I've got to get 3 half bridges, which aren't cheap, like $540 each, which is a bit of a sting. But even that said, by the time I buy the parts to get this air conditioning working, a few H bridges, some wiring, some switches and stuff, I'll probably all in around $2 grand to get the factory aircon working, which is still cheaper than getting an aftermarket unit, which aren't as great. So also a benefit of lifting the van up, one issue I was having is with the factory aircon unit. So you can see the radiator, that's the inlets up there, so they've got to be the radiator cap has to be the highest point. So as it stands now, I can lift the radiator right up and I can have the cap up in this top corner, which will be higher than those inlets and outlets there. So that also works pretty good, and then I can just make a deflector come down over the top of the motor and then down through the tunnel and out the back for the exhaust fanage. What that also means, just escalating, is that whole front section there I'm going to have to completely chop out, just so I can get that big old air conditioning unit further forward and underneath that flat bit. So it is creating a lot of work. When it's slammed on the ground, so when I get some different rims, so Holden do their factory offset is plus 43, and these are plus 30, so the factory ones will take the wheel in further, which will solve that issue. So I shouldn't be rubbing on any bodywork where it's sitting right now. So really, it's got a bit more work to do around the window. And then just got to find a way of lifting the body up like nice and solid so it's not sketchy. And then yeah, probably look at just chopping the whole bottom off, or just adding on to the bottom, sorry, and making new ones of those bits. I've got them drawn up in the computer already because they are new. The original ones were knackered. What else? It's giving me obviously more headroom inside. The rear hump is just going to be, it'll be flat, there'll be a slight hump up, and then it'll just go straight shot to the back door. Instead of being a hump up and then a hump down. So all in all, it's going pretty good, I feel. And see you on the next one, doing who knows what.